Hi there, and welcome back to Teacher to Teacher. For those of you who are new, we've basically been discussing different aspects related to online teaching and learning during lockdown. And if you'd like to watch some of the previous episodes that you might have missed, you could do so at the Macmillan Spain YouTube channel or also on the Macmillan website. In any case, this week we've been focusing on online teaching, and last Tuesday I showed you 3 tools that you can use to improve your teaching during lockdown. Today we're going to be focusing on how to get our students to work on the 4 skills from home. Just like I did when I used to teach face-to-face, in my online lessons I try to strike a balance between the 4 skills, so my students are improving their English as a whole and with an emphasis on practical use. So today I'll show you some of the tools that I use to get my students to continue improving their English from home, and we're going to be looking at the 4 skills. So let's start with receptive skills, that is listening and reading. Okay, so the first tool I wanted to show you is called lyrics training. You might already be familiar with it, and you might have already used it in your lessons, just like I used to do. But in case you're not familiar, lyrics training is a website that you can use with your students to get them to work on their listening skills. And what they have to do is fill in the gaps in the lyrics of the songs available. As I said, I already used to use lyrics training in my face-to-face lessons before lockdown, but did you know that if you create a free lyrics training account, you can design your own gap fill activities for your students and send them the link so they can do them from home? It's actually really cool because last week I prepared an activity related to the song Mama Said by Lucas Graham, which I personally really like, and it's actually very catchy. And apart from the actual gap fill, as a follow-up task, the students had to read the lyrics again, look for any words they didn't understand or they didn't know, and then write a short paragraph answering the question, what do you think is the message of the song? What is the singer trying to say in the song? And the activity worked really well. Well, first of all, because the students really like music and they're very motivated by having to listen to a song as a task. Sorry, I forgot to mention that before we did the activity, I asked my students to create their own free lyrics training account. So when they did the activity through the link I sent them, their score got recorded. So it was really, it was cool because when everyone had done the activity, I screenshot the list of their results, the ranking list, and I posted it on Google Classroom for a bit of healthy competition. And I can assure you, the students who got a bit of a lower score went back to lyrics training to do the activity again and again. I could actually see it in the score list. So that's it actually means that it's really motivating for them. In any case, finally, apart from this, what I did was ask my students to go back to the lyrics training page and choose a song that they liked, and it was available in there. And create their own gap fill activity for their classmates to do. They sent me the link, I posted it on Google Classroom, and so everyone could then do everyone's activities, and that was a lot of fun and it was really motivating. Personally, I'm not a big fan of gap fills as the only listening task, but with lyrics training, it's great because students are really motivated to continue watching the video, and if you don't spell the word correctly, the video stops. So students want to make sure they get the spelling right, they get the word right to be able to continue listening to the music. And I have to admit, I've played lyrics training on my own a few times, and it does get very, very addictive. In any case, that was tool number 1, lyrics training. Okay, so the second tool I wanted to show you is called CNN in 10. And this is a website that Alba, a fellow teacher from Alicante, who you may know as Paréntesis Educación on the social media, recommended on her Instagram account a couple of weeks ago. And if you're not familiar with Paréntesis Educación, I recommend you check it out, by the way. In any case, CNN in 10 is a website from the American TV channel CNN, and it provides a brief summary of the news in 10 minutes with a video that is subtitled in English to make it easier to follow. CNN in 10 is similar to 1 Minute News on the BBC, but the cool feature of this one is that it comes with a transcript of the video. So you could use this for the students to read what they've listened to after they've listened to it to check how much they've understood. And a task that you could do related to CNN is get students to listen to the news, summarize them briefly, and then pick one of the pieces of news that they are particularly interested in, so they could do a bit more research on that specific one. And I think students would find that very motivating, because most secondary students are interested in finding out more about what's going on and in keeping up to date. So it's a great way of exploiting your students' interests. Apart from that, another cool feature of CNN in 10 is that every Friday, this website launches a news quiz featuring 10 questions about events that have appeared during the week's news. So this would make a great listening web quest where students would have to browse through the previous editions of the news to get all the information to answer the questions. And maybe, depending on your group, you could set up as a competition between the students to see who gets the most number of answers correct. All in all, I think CNN in 10 is a really fun way of students to keep up to date and get informed in English. So I highly recommend you check it out. Okay, so the third website I wanted to show you is called NEWSELA. And I learned about NEWSELA at the APAC ELT convention in Barcelona a couple of years ago from a fellow teacher called Anna, who you might know as From Where I Teach on Instagram. Sorry I mentioned Instagram so much, but I personally find it a great source of inspiration to get ideas, to look at other people's activities, and basically to network with fellow teachers that might be in a similar situation to you. So anyway, NEWSELA is a great website, including hundreds of texts on a wide variety of topics such as law, science, sports, art. And due to COVID-19, it's been made free for students and teachers to use until the end of this school year. So I guess every cloud comes with a silver lining. The cool thing about NEWSELA is that every text is available in 4 or 5 different reading levels. And you just need to click a button on the top right-hand corner of the screen to change the level. Of course, this allows you to adjust to your students' needs and personalize their learning. And as Anna pointed out in her presentation a couple of years ago, no matter what level you choose, the text includes the same content, looks the same, and the only difference is that the language used is graded. So that's a great thing too. Apart from that, all NEWSELA texts come with a quiz, which includes 4 comprehension questions, and also a writing section where the students get to reflect on what they've read. Apart from that, some of the texts have a power words section. Power words are the most difficult words in the text, and when the students click on them, they can read the definition and they can listen to how they're pronounced. And after reading, they can also take another quiz to check how much they've improved their vocabulary. For every correct answer, they get some points, and these points, this score is recorded on their word wall, which basically shows their progress in English. Another really cool thing about NEWSELA is that if you sign up in the website, you can modify these writing tasks and you can create assignments for your students. You could also link your classes on Google Classroom to NEWSELA, and this is great because it allows students to access the reading assignments just by logging into Google. Talking about assignments, an example of an assignment that I created for my SO4 students a couple of weeks ago was a reading text based on an article on NEWSELA about the 12 American museums that now offered online tours. And the task was basically to browse through the article, choose one of the museums, and select take the virtual tour and select one piece of art that they liked. And then they had to write a paragraph about why they had enjoyed that work of art, what they had enjoyed about it most, and how it made them feel. And of course, this was a different approach to reading, and the students really enjoyed having to take an online tour in a museum to complete the assignment. So all in all, I personally feel NEWSELA is a great source of reading input that can really motivate students to continue learning in English. So that was NEWSELA for you. I never know whether to say NEWSELA or NEWSELA, but in the tutorials that I watched a few years ago, it said NEWSELA. So that's what I'm going for. Okay, so moving on to tool number 4, which is called English e-reader. And this was a tool that I learned about on Cristina Cabal's Twitter account, Blog de Cristina. Cristina Cabal is an English teacher and teacher trainer in Asturias, and she gives a lot of recommendations on her Twitter account and on her blog. In any case, English e-reader includes hundreds of online books divided into levels, starting from A1 starter to C2 and abridged, and the books belong to a wide range of genres. So after you sign up for free, you can read the book of your choice online, or you can download it as an electronic publication. And the cool thing about this option is that you can move through the pages of the book as if you were really flicking through the pages. The only thing you need to do is just touch the screen. So I think this maximizes the reading experience too. If you want, you can also download the audio files and turn the reading experience into a listening, or do both at the same time. What I personally really like about this website is that the students can read at their own pace, choosing the book they'd like to work on, and this really reinforces the idea that reading should be fun. It should be a pleasure. So I'm sure students really appreciate not having to answer any comprehension questions at the end of the chapter. However, if you wanted to ask for feedback on the students' reading, what you could do is create a Padlet for each of the students to write a short text about the book they've read, recommending it to their peers, or maybe not, and also including a link for students to check it out if they're interested. So all in all, I find English e-reader has a lot of potential to spark our students' joy for reading. So try it out and see it for yourself. Okay, so we've talked about 4 tools to look at how we can help students to work on their receptive skills, that is, reading and listening. And now we're moving on to productive skills, meaning writing and speaking. And the first tool I wanted to show you regarding writing is called Grammarly. Grammarly is a great app that I learned about from the APAC e-toolkit on Instagram. I feel it's really important to provide students with self-learning tools to make them more autonomous learners, and I feel Grammarly is one of these tools. When I was teaching face-to-face, I did a lot of the writing online using shared documents on Google Drive, and what I asked my students to do is to copy and paste their already typed up text on Grammarly, and to take a picture of the suggestions for improvement that Grammarly made. Then they had to paste this screenshot onto the shared document and make all the corrections that Grammarly suggested, obviously the ones they agreed with. What this did was make them a lot more aware of the changes between the original and the final text, and also made them a lot more aware of the importance of rereading and proofreading texts before actually handing them in. To start working with Grammarly, you can download the app on your phone or on your computer, or you can also download the extension on your Chrome browser. This last option is especially useful if you would like your text proofread as you write, as it points out the mistakes you make as you're writing. But students actually don't need to download anything, because they can have their text proofread on the Grammarly website, which I think is www.grammarly.com. And so that's very convenient as well. I feel Grammarly is a very powerful tool to get students to improve their writing and to become more aware of the importance of taking time to write and rereading what they write. Plus, it's a great tool for teachers as well to avoid those annoying typos. So basically, it's a win-win. Okay, so tool number 6 is called KIALO. A colleague of mine at work showed it to me a couple of weeks ago, and she said it was for online written discussions. So we figured we could set up an online discussion for our SO4 students who actually really like debates in class. So what we did was go to the KIALO website and set up our discussion, and it was about online education versus traditional education. So the question we posed to them was, is online education better than traditional education? The students had to go onto the KIALO page and post their opinion. The cool thing was that this is a very current topic that the students are obviously thinking about. So they were very eager to contribute their opinions. And it was really interesting for us as teachers to get the information on what they thought about online learning and online teaching and about their suggestions. Because after the students had written their first comment, their first post, we asked them to go back to the discussion and comment on somebody else's post. So this gave us a lot of information on how the students were feeling and also on suggestions for improvement that they had or stuff that they wanted to do. For example, my students asked to work more in groups, and they also asked to have a session on how to work on Google Classroom. So that was really useful both for them and for us. How do you start setting up a discussion with KIALO? Well, it's very easy. You just need to create an account on the site, go to create discussion, you set up your discussion, you give it a title, and you can also add a picture if you want, but that's optional. I recommend you go for single thesis discussion. So there's only one question posed. For example, this one, is online education better than traditional education? Because these discussions are easier for the students to contribute to, and they're also easier for the teacher to manage. So single thesis discussion. Another thing you need to think about when you want to do a discussion, when you want to set up a discussion on KIALO, is how you're going to share the link for the students. And the easiest way is to enable discussion access link. This way you don't need to invite your students one by one. You can just post the link onto your learning platform, for example, Google Classroom, and the students can access the link directly without having to create a KIALO account. So that's really good. My students, as I said, love discussions, and KIALO is a great way, a very easy way to bring this discussions into the online classroom and get students to be able to express their opinions and to say what they think and how they feel. And it also, if you ask them to comment on their peers' contributions, it gives them an excuse to read each other's posts, to see to what extent they agree with their classmates, and to create this interaction, this socializing that we were talking about in one of the first episodes, and that is the key element to teaching and learning. So go and try it out. You'll see your students are really going to like it. Okay, so moving on to tool number 7, we're still talking about productive skills, but now we'll be referring to tools to get students to practice their speaking, which my students personally have said is what they find the hardest during lockdown. My go-to tool to get students to practice their speaking in English is Zoom, and more specifically a feature called breakout rooms. Breakout rooms enables you to divide students into groups and put them into separate rooms for them to share their ideas with their partner and to talk to each other in the privacy of their room. You can assign specific students to specific rooms, to specific groups, or you can let Zoom do that randomly for you, which is obviously easier. And as a teacher, you can pop into each of their rooms to listen to what they're saying, to monitor their progress, and to give them help if they need. But there's also a button that they have, which is called Ask for Help, and students can send you individual messages saying that they need you to go there, so you know this specific group, for example, needs a hand. Also, as a teacher, you can broadcast a message to all the group. You can send a message to everyone at once using the broadcast to all feature. And this is very convenient to communicate with them all together. I've experimented with this feature of Zoom quite a few times now, and I must admit I love it because it's changed my online lessons radically, and it's given the students a chance to talk to their partner like they actually did in class when we were doing it face to face. So students have said they absolutely love getting to talk to their partner, sharing their ideas, having their privacy too. And it gives me the freedom of like checking in on the students and answering any questions they might have. And then we all go back to the regular general room to put stuff in common. I have to admit, the first time I tried this was with my bachillerato students. I had prepared a PowerPoint presentation with some images for them to discuss. And so I shared the presentation with them. I told them about the task and the instructions. We exemplified what they had to do. And then I sent them to their breakout rooms. But I didn't know that if you send people to the breakout rooms, they're not going to see the screen you're sharing with them, because you're sharing it with them in the main room. And so the students were in their rooms with a partner. They did know the task, but they couldn't see the pictures. So one of the groups, for example, one of the pairs actually started talking in English, but about their weekend. So when I joined their group and I said, guys, what are you talking about? Why are you talking about the weekend? Why are you not doing the task? He said, well, we cannot see any pictures, so we don't know what to discuss. So that's why we decided to talk about the weekend. And so this was a funny moment I had. I told them this was an experiment, and they had a lot of fun trying it out. And so from that point on, I know that I need to give them access to the presentation for them to actually be able to see it from their own room, instead of me sharing it in the main room and nobody seeing it. So that was funny. My students are really, really happy, as I said, and I really recommend you try out Zoom, because they'll definitely love the interaction. As usual, Brussels Standard has a great tutorial on how to set up breakout rooms on Zoom, so I really recommend you watch that before doing it, and just try it out and let me know how it goes. Okay, so last but not least, here's tool number 8, which is called CHATTERPIX. CHATTERPIX is a great app that enables you to record your voice to a picture you take or you upload. Fellow teacher Alba from Alicante, who I've mentioned before, talked about this on her Instagram account, and when I read the post, I instantly thought this would be great fun for my students. What can you do with CHATTERPIX? Well, there are many activities that you could do, but Alba mainly suggests 3. The first one is for students to post a picture of their favorite celebrity and then record their voice saying what the celebrity would think, for example. Another option she suggests is for students to record the description of the picture they post, be it a building or a place or even a person. And the third activity she suggested in her post on Instagram was for students to use CHATTERPIX to record a tongue twister in English. And this is the activity that I did with my students, and actually with my daughter as well, and it worked wonders. The students were really motivated to record their tongue twister, and because you can record your voice as many times as you like, they were very eager to get it right. This was especially good for weaker students who usually feel a bit more insecure, and also for shy students, because they don't have the pressure of having to speak in public, and they don't need to show their face if they don't want to. Another activity that I came up with that you could do with CHATTERPIX is a guessing game. You could get your students to record a description of their favorite TV show or their favorite sport or their favorite celebrity, for example, and they need to record their voice giving this description, and then their classmates need to guess it. This is really motivating for secondary students, for teenage students especially, because they're really keen on writing their mystery descriptions, being careful not to give away too much information at once. And they're also really motivated to listen to their peers' descriptions and get it right, get the answer right. So that worked really well too. In order to use CHATTERPIX, you basically need to download the app onto your phone or onto your tablet, choose an image, upload one or take one, plan what you want to say, and just record it. It's as simple as this. The cool thing is that you can customize your image and add cool props, for example, like crazy glasses or a mustache or a rainbow or a hat. And you can also add filters to make the image as funky as you like. So it definitely gives a lot of leeway to creativity. For more information on CHATTERPIX, you can visit Alba's Instagram profile, which is listed in the handout. And just be aware though, Instagram is very addictive, but CHATTERPIX can be very addictive too, and you may find yourself recording loads of crazy videos just to see what the different filters and props look like. In any case, this was CHATTERPIX for you, and I hope you have fun using it with your students. Okay, so that's the end of today's episode. Just as a quick recap, we've looked at 8 different tools to work on your students' reading, listening, writing, and speaking. And I understand today this was a lot of information to take in, but everything I mentioned in the episode is included in the handout that you can download from the Macmillan website. So take it easy, and you can have read as many times as you like or as you need. My recommendation though is to take it step by step. So maybe you could choose 2 of the websites that you especially like and try them out with your students to see how they work. In any case, enjoy experimenting and see you next week for more. Bye.